Welcome to episode 3 of the Pay It Forward podcast. Some good news, where the news you don't hear about is our headline. With your host, Murky Morals and Wounded Healer. Murky, how you doing, man?
Doing good. How are you?
We're here, another Saturday, another podcast, living it up. It's cold, it's snowy, but we're inside, so we're killing it.
Yeah, thank God for that.
Yeah.
A little bit of outside that I was today was short, and I'm glad that it ended quickly. We come back home, get warm. Did not want to stay out in that snow.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, why don't you talk a little bit about what today's episode's about and how we're going to do this moving forward, and then we'll dive into it.
All right. So every Saturday, I think, or the last Saturday of every month from this point forward, we're going to do an episode like this to where we start just talking about good things that are going on in the world and good things that I see in news headlines or something, because there's so much negativity out there in the news and on social media and in just the drama and the bullshit and just everything sometimes just feels draining and negative and just generally not good, So I think that we want to make a focus for an episode once a month to where we put our focus solely on trying to spread good things and share good news headlines, positive news headlines. And I think that's the idea tonight. And I think we're going to achieve that. Did a bunch of research today and found a bunch of different things kind of across a wide variety of categories that just make you feel good. You hear some stories that just really make you feel good. And we have a couple of those. I also reached out to some people on Twitter. If you guys are not following us on Twitter, our handles are underneath of our videos here on the stream. Follow us on Twitter at Murky Morals and at Wounded Healer, because I put a tweet out earlier in this week knowing that we were going to do this episode, looking for people to share some things with us, either in the replies to that tweet or in my DM. And I got a reply there that actually we'll share towards the end of the episode, but that is going to segue into our guest next week, where we're going to go back to having a guest. Excuse me. We had one our first week. We had, a lot of you guys know Castle. We had him on our first episode. Went really well. It was great. We got a lot of really good feedback from people on that episode. And then last week it was just me and Wounded, and this week it's going to just be me and Wounded. And then next week, when we start our first episode of February, I believe it will be.
It will be.
We're going to have a guest again, man. We're going to have a guest again. It's another friend of ours. It's somebody that you guys probably know. And I'm excited for that.
Yeah, we'll let you know who it is at the end. But yeah, we're excited for it, and I'm pretty sure this person's pretty excited too.
Yeah. He asked in the Twitter DM. He shared some stuff with me, and then shared that piece of information. Like, if you guys ever want me, I'm down. And then we were just talking tonight, like before the episode, and it's like, like, let's do that. Like, I think that would be really good. I think it'd be an interesting thing. I mean, I just want to talk to a bunch of different people in the community. You get a bunch of different perspectives from people, and what their lives are like. We have these relationships with people, I think, on Twitter and through gaming and on the internet. Very few people we've met IRL and in real life, so I think any more kind of real and honest conversations we can have with people to get to know them deeper and better is always a positive thing,
Yeah. I agree.
So I don't know how you want to do it, man. Do you want to get into stories, or do you want to? I wanted to try to make this a little more interactive too. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think
I don't
that
know.
if
Who's in the chat right now?
yeah, I mean, we got Corrupted who just is here, D Rossi, Patrick, Mrs. Wounded, Marsoc. Um, I know we got a new viewer. Looks like Duck's in here. What's up, Duck?
What's up, Doug?
Peep James. It's his first time chat. He's new, so welcome, and we hope to see you
Welcome, Pete.
in the continued podcast moving forward. And then
Wounded, has anybody asked where Mrs. Wounded's cookies are, actually? Because at one point, I believe viewers in the stream and of the podcast of the first episode were promised a batch of Mrs. Wounded's cookies. And as far as I understand it, up until this point, I
there's been
personally have not seen any cookies.
so
I can't speak really for anybody else, but I personally have not seen any cookies.
so
I don't
I
think
named.
Zach has seen any cookies. I've talked to him. Pretty sure
Listen,
he hadn't seen any
have you
cookies.
seen Zach? Zach has definitely seen cookies before. Maybe not Mrs. Wounded's cookies, but he's seen cookies.
That's true.
But so have
That's
I,
true.
so it's fine.
Corrupted hasn't seen any
I
cookies.
know.
Thank you for co-signing that, Corrupt. Thank
No
you.
one has. I get it. I think that as we talked about trying to like legitimately ship them out all over the country, we decided that scuff controllers and mouse pads were a better idea, so that's what we stuck with.
That's true. Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean,
Yeah.
we'll figure it out. I know that other companies obviously ship cookies and baked goods, so
I
maybe
forgot
we
about
will
the
get into
scuff
that.
controller. Yeah, that's kind of a.
Yeah,
That was
but it's
kind of a
fine.
big send.
I also
Yeah.
named the channel's points Mrs. Wounded's cookies.
Oh, so everybody has Mrs. Wounded's cookies.
See how that works?
Right.
It's nice,
Oh,
right?
so you didn't
Genius.
actually say what kind of cookies they were,
It's a secret.
right?
So the ones that started the whole thing with Zach were chocolate chip, homemade chocolate chip that I ate while I was streaming, and he mentioned he's like, "What are you eating?" or something like that. I said cookies. I showed it to him, and then I flexed my muscle on him.
what,
It was a whole
what
thing.
about the chocolate chip cookies made you feel like a flex right there? Because like I have them, you don't, kind of thing.
Yeah, and because it was Zach, and I love him, but you know
Right.
he would have done it to me. See, he has
Patrick
10,000
says he
cookies.
has 10K.
See?
He's got more
Thanks.
than me, dude. I only have 8.2K.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. I
So,
appreciate you.
not doing great.
If anyone is close enough, you can. No, you can't. I love you, honey, but you can't invite strangers to our house for cookies. I'm sorry.
I'm close enough for cookies.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm gonna talk to her about this. I
You don't
wanna talk to
offer
you
our
about it.
house to people on the internet, honey. I love you, and I know that you mean well.
We're about to read a bunch of positive news stories of good people in the world, okay? So you need to exhibit that and have trust that random people on the internet are just going to come over for milk and cookies,
Yeah,
and it's going to be a good, positive time.
Yeah, I think that's a great segue.
It's not going to be weird at all,
No, not even a little bit.
People on the internet don't do weird things ever,
No.
So everybody's really straightforward and honest.
100%.
Corrupted's going to bring milk.
Yeah.
Perfect. That's absolutely perfect.
That sounds great. I love it.
Do you want to get into our first story?
Yeah, might as well hop into it. And we'll do that. So I'm gonna hop over to my desktop view, which is gonna be the same. Let me take this camera off for a quick second. And then he's gonna share his screen. We're gonna watch the video, and then we're gonna talk about the news. And legit, it's just good news article things that we're gonna talk about.
All right, so let me read it if I can. Let me read it first, and then I have a video on this story also. So our first story I do not have a video for, so I'm going to jump to our second one. The news story goes: a survivor of the tornado that hit Mayfield, Kentucky, and its candle factory. I don't know if you guys remember seeing that in the news. That was like a big deal. There was a lot of people that got like killed and were seriously injured. So a survivor of that tornado has a new ride thanks to a stranger in the same state. When the tornado hit the candle factory in Mayfield and caused it to collapse, Rebecca Marsala was trapped for 5 hours before being rescued. She spent several days recovering in the hospital afterwards. When the tornado hit, she also lost her car. Sharon Sutherland, I'm trying not to butcher these names as best I can also. Sharon Sutherland is a teacher in Anderson County, about 4 hours from Mayfield. and contacted her sheriff's department to let them know she had a car and wanted to donate it to someone impacted by the tornado that hit. Anderson County Sheriff Joe Millam then contacted Sheriff John Hayden, who was able to connect Sutherland with Marsala. Sutherland drove her car 4 hours to Mayfield to sign over the title and hand the keys to Marsala herself. That's actually freaking nuts. We give away a controller, you give away a controller. This lady just gave away a freaking car.
Yeah.
Someday maybe.
Yeah, one day we'll
All right,
get
I'm
there.
gonna share. I'll share the my screen for this, and we watch the video.
All right.
A tornado survivor in Mayfield now has a car thanks to an Anderson County teacher. Sharon Sutherland drove to Mayfield Sunday to donate the car. She says she woke up in the middle of the night with the idea and later called the Anderson County Sheriff, who contacted the Graves County
That's I
Sheriff
remember these
if they
tornadoes.
needed a car.
Nichols, I
Sheriff
appreciate you, man.
Sutherland was working in the candle factory and was trapped in the debris for about 5 hours.
That's crazy.
Her car was destroyed in the parking lot.
Can you imagine being trapped in the candle factory that got destroyed from a tornado? Can you imagine what that 5 hours was like?
No.
Like that had to be just ridiculous.
Agonizing.
Sharon says it was emotional and moving to give this gift.
We were both trying so hard.
Oh man,
not
I
to
love Sharon.
bawl. So we were both really tightly held on to our to our emotions. She was thrilled is not the right word. I think she was still, of course, these people have been through so much.
Yeah.
I think kind of shocked that this would happen. Grateful. She said her parents have been having to drive her everywhere because she has nothing.
Wow.
Sharon says she doesn't want the attention or praise for giving away the car, but she hopes this serves as a reminder that families in Western Kentucky need all the kindness they can get as they rebuild.
Wow.
A tornado.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
That's really cool.
Oh, wrong one. My bad. Yeah, and it's just like, a lot of soldiers from the unit sent out to, help. There was a lot of people that sent out to help the recovery. And there's actually, and I forget the guy's name, but he always pops up. I'll see him pop up either on like YouTube or TikTok. And there's like a guy that was out there, and he would, I guess he's been doing this kind of pay it forward, giving it back for a while. And he was going to these sites, and he was talking to somebody who had like lost their business. And then, I think it was a barber who had like a history. I want to say it might even have been like drug addiction, and she was like in recovery, and it destroyed the barbershop, and she was doing really, really well. And he had asked her, he was like, "Could you give me a haircut right now?" And she was like, "Well, yeah, my stuff's at home." He was like, "All right, cool, go get it." Right? So she comes back, gives him the haircut, and he gave her like 30 grand to rebuild.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
For a haircut?
Yeah, it's like one of those things that like I can't watch those kinds of videos without crying. So it's like,
Yeah.
It's just because it's so emotionally. I mean, you work so hard to
We
have.
literally have 5 of those videos or 6 of those videos.
Yeah.
I hope you cry. I really do. I hope you cry. It's gonna make for a great YouTube video if you cry.
Yeah, I don't. It's usually when I'm there by myself and I can be emotional alone. So it's just.
What do you mean, not live on Twitch?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It depends. It depends on what we talk about. There is without a doubt going to be a point in time where I'm going to shed a tear because if we start to get into whatever it is about, kids or whatever topic we come up with in the future, something's going to get me. I can't help it. If you ask a lot of people that know me, like when I would go and like speak at like meetings or anything like that, and I would start to get into like my kids or really get that opportunity to reflect. I would lose my shit, and I would just like ugly cry, like I couldn't even talk anymore. It was terrible. But anyway, I just think that it's really that's a perfect example of something good happening, and you just don't. I mean, it's such a small portion of what they show on the news anymore. It's either something negative or it's politically driven, and
Right.
So to see that kind of thing and know that stuff's going on out there. I think it makes for much better content, and I think that.
Yeah, and so like the woman that gave her car away, Sharon Sutherland, she's a teacher.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not like she's not like a millionaire. Yeah,
Right.
she's not rolling in dough, and like the fact that she was just like, well, I have this car here, like I'm sure somebody could use it. You know, like, I mean, if it was an extra car she was looking to get rid of, you know, like everybody else in the world, she could have sold the car, put it up, made money off of it, done something.
Yep.
You know, but this had just happened in her state. I mean, she was 4 hours away from where the tornado was. And again, like I feel like this is going to be like a recurring theme of this whole deal is like her very first thought was like, let me just give this to somebody. Like, let me just find somebody to just give this to. And it's not like, you know, I mean, I'm just joking, obviously, but like, it's not like a batch of cookies. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, she gave somebody a freaking car. Like,
Yeah.
that's just nuts to me.
Like
it's just
life-changing
nuts to me.
stuff for somebody who just went
Yeah.
through an
Yeah.
incredibly traumatic event and huge loss.
Right.
You know, and
Yeah, it has to be a big weight off your shoulders when you're that person that loses your car, you know? Because she probably lost her job. If she was in that factory that got taken down and she was trapped in for 5 hours, like she probably worked there. She probably lost her job. Then she loses her car that was in the parking lot.
Yep.
You know, and it's like one thing after another, you know, just seems crazy, man. You know? So yeah, that's just really cool. All right, let me see what I got next.
All right.
So that was the first one. I had the teacher in the car. All right, so this one, bro, yes. This is us, dude. Like this is us, and I wanna love all of these kids in like a completely normal way. I hope my kids do this when they're in elementary school.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the story. Wait, let me see. Make sure I have the right one. Okay, I do. The entire Clover Hill Elementary School came together to help others through a program based on kindness called Raise Craze. All of the students at the school embarked on a mission to do small acts of kindness. Completing one good deed at a time, they were able to accomplish more than 5,000 acts of kindness.
That's a lot.
Vice President of the PTA, Kristen Hare, told NBC 12 the acts of kindness were happening everywhere. In the classroom, we were writing nice letters to the janitors, the custodians, the cafeteria workers, the administrators, people that don't always get recognized. The community really took to it. The teachers got into it, and it was awesome to see so many kids doing acts of kindness at home, on the weekend, in the classroom. Local news outlet, they ended up getting the news hooked them up for this too, these kids. Local news outlet NBC 12 rewarded the students for all of their awesome effort with $300 in cash and a $50 gift card to a restaurant in town. Do you think they gave each kid $300 and a $50 gift card? Because that's probably, dude. That's a lot of money.
I mean, maybe, or they just gave them something for them to do as the class. Like, you know, you give them $300, they can do a little party, they can maybe get some games, buy some gifts for them, and then $50. I don't know what restaurant, but if it's a pizza place,
get food for the party or something.
Yeah, I mean, you know, but either way, well, whichever they did, they didn't have to do that, and it's great that they did it.
Yeah, and just to preface, obviously I have a video for this. We can watch the video, but I chose this story specifically because I feel like, one, it goes with the idea of this podcast.
It does.
Like, it literally is in line with the idea of this podcast, to where, you know, it says that acts of kindness were happening everywhere, right? So people, one good deed at a time, then they were able to accomplish more than 5,000 acts of kindness. And all it started with was this idea, you know, that people were going to come together and we were just going to do nice things for each other. And then it became contagious.
Yep.
And then they had 5,000 nice things that they did. You know, I don't know. It's really cool. Let me know. Pull the video up. Let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead. I heard you. It took me a second to register. Don't judge me.
It's all right. Yo, what's up, Salt? I just saw Salt pop up in the chat.
Salt, what's up, man?
All right, let me see. Let me cue it up.
And Midlothian has some of the kindest kids that you will ever meet.
Students at Clover Hill committed themselves to the Raise Craze. That's what it's called. It's a program that's based on kindness and paying it forward. Anthony Antoine has more in today's Act of
See what
Kindness.
I'm saying? Paying it forward.
These little foot soldiers are part of an elite army at Clover Hill Elementary School in Midlothian.
That was the main goal, was to getting getting them to think of others and what they can do to be kind and pay it forward.
Armed with nothing but kindness.
It makes me feel very good when I give to others.
And then it makes like a butterfly effect where they want to help other people.
The entire school embarked on this mission together, completing one good deed at a time.
Every day, either me or my sister, we have a neighbor and he has a hard time walking, and we carry his newspaper down a steep hill to his front step.
Together.
W.
Yeah. And it is
That's
just
so simple.
yeah.
But that's an elementary school child thinking like, man, that guy has a hard time. Let me just bring his paper down for him. So simple, man.
Yeah.
So simple. But I'm sure like that probably makes such a big difference to that guy.
They recorded more than 5,000 acts of kindness.
Still such a crazy
I
number.
helped my sister at soccer practice when she fell down. I helped her get up. And
I'd push my sister back down.
Helped
That's
my
not-
friend with the school project.
It's
'cause he was having
counterproductive.
some trouble.
Kristen Hare is the
I
vice
hope she
president
watches
of the
this.
Clover Hill PTA.
The community really took to it. The teachers got into it. It was awesome to see the kids doing so many acts of kindness at home, on the weekends, in the classroom.
And with Kristen's help, NBC 12 wanted to reward the students with $300 in cash and a $50 gift card to Mexico restaurant.
Nice.
They were so excited. They felt so proud, and they were cheering. And yeah, I think it just made them feel really good.
Well, it's safe to say these little soldiers have a heart of gold and the luck of the Irish on their side. On your side, Anthony Antoine.
The whole idea is that, doing kindness, acts of kindness can be fun, and it's rewarding for you to help others.
NBC 12.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yeah, and I think that what the big part about that is as well is that it's not just about financial support or giving money or
No.
giving things or giving gifts, right? It's just about helping somebody with something, right?
Correct.
Thinking of somebody else first.
Correct.
Right. And again, it is, and you have, like, I always talk about it, I have people in my life that, like, they just have this natural ability to, like, it just like, they don't have to try. It just does. They just exist that way. You know what I mean? And those are the people I always
Yeah.
aspired to be like. I have one specific friend. I don't have to go into his name and all that, but he just what he was. And I remember one year, a couple years, I don't know, maybe this might even be like 10 years ago, but he had gotten like a bunch of Christmas gifts, whatever, and we're in our 20s at this point, but his good friend and his family, like, didn't have a lot. And, his friend's parents, like, struggled, and this guy's little brother, like, didn't get anything for Christmas. So Danny, I said, hey, we're going to give his name. His name's Danny. We don't have to get into last names. So he went and returned all of his gifts.
Wow.
And went and got this dude's little brother Christmas gifts, like, took him, like, shopping for Christmas and stuff like that. And I remember, like, being, I don't know, I had to have been maybe 25 or 26, something along those lines, and he's telling me this, and in my brain I'm like, that's such a good way to think.
Yeah.
Like, it took me some years to get to a point where it was like, you should probably not be a selfish person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, but he just, like, had it. He just thought of somebody else first, just what he did. And I think that if it's not something that comes natural to you, you can still do it. And then once you start to do stuff like that and you start to get that reward of that, just like that feel good, like, I'm doing something, it's fulfilling, it gives purpose. I think that it really allows you to do that. But I remember that was probably like my first real experience of somebody I knew just doing for somebody else, and I was just so blown away by it, to the point where I still remember to this day that it was like profound for me.
Right. Yeah. I read Salt's comment. It's crazy to me how the smallest act can change someone's day or perspective of life.
Absolutely.
And one of the biggest reasons too that I'll say that I like picked that story out specifically, not only was it, one, it just reminds you like how pure like kids are, before they get clouded with all like the stressors and BS that's in life or whatever. Children just tend to have that joy and kind hearts just naturally, you know. And
Yeah.
I think what you just said in the beginning is that it's not always about money because these kids don't have money, you know, like they don't
Correct.
have money to give to people. And, you know, we do this podcast, man, and we've been fortunate enough in our lives to be able to, um, you know, show love to people afterwards and stuff that we've done the past couple weeks financially, you know, and it really blows people. And that thing kind of blows people away. But even like beyond that, it's not even, it doesn't even need to be about money, you know,
Correct.
or about anything financial like that. Like Salt says it perfectly in his comment there. Like it's crazy how the smallest act can change someone's day, you know. And I know for me, like even in my own life, you know, like I wake up super early for work and I run out the door and I stop and I get my coffee, you know, and I'm almost on autopilot as I'm going into
Yep.
work and get my coffee and you know, and I'm just kind of going through it and head down and I'm on go mode or whatever, right? And um like there's been a few times over the last couple years to where and I definitely just thinking about life differently recently, but like there's been a few times over the couple years to where like someone at 6 o'clock in the morning at Wawa when I'm pouring my coffee just has this like really contagious positive attitude on already, you know.
Yeah.
And there's occasionally, you know, I'm in a bad spot to where that like pisses me off even worse, you know, and I don't understand why you're so happy at 6 a.m. But then
Yeah.
there's other times to where like I'm just not really with it, and I see that person, and that person kind of shows that positivity to me. They don't give me anything, you know, they don't buy anything for me.
Yeah.
They do nothing for me but like give me a smile, some positivity. You know, sometimes, um, especially working construction outside, and most of the time I have gear on that most people know that that's what I do. You know,
Yep.
and even recently, like with the winter, a lot of times I get like the comment like, you know, stay warm out there. You know, and it's like yeah, you know, no kidding. You know,
Yeah.
it's 20 degrees outside,
Thanks,
but like
office guy.
right. But like, but you know, I joke, but it's like, you know, yeah, thank you. Most of the time, it's like somebody that reminds me of my mom telling me
Yep.
that in Wawa, you know, and
Yep.
I'm like, you know, I will, I'm gonna try. I'll try to stay warm as much as I can. And as much as I've been on autopilot so far that entire morning and just doing my thing, getting to where I need to be, A to B, point A to point B, um, in that moment where somebody just even gives you some kind of kind word, you know, doesn't
Yeah.
give me anything or nothing like that, you know, I can stop and kind of just take a minute and realize like, you know, man, I'm actually really lucky, you know, for the like I have a job to go to, you know, like
Yeah.
thank God for that. I have work consistently. I have a job to go to. I have a way to provide for my family. Um, you know, and some days I want to complain that I have to wake up early to do it.
Yeah. It's wild, isn't it?
Yeah, and
Yeah. I think just
so
having
I
that
just yeah, go ahead.
gratitude's important. Is all I was gonna say. Is
It is.
it's and it's hard, you know, when you just to find the time to sit back and reflect is hard.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
I
I
agree.
think even this podcast right on Saturdays gives me that opportunity. Right? It's
Yeah.
an hour where we get to come in, talk about good things, positivity. It gives me that moment to go like, oh, yeah, I say all this stuff and let's practice it. You know,
Right.
let's do it. If I'm having a bad
Right.
day, I think it's important that maybe I can be the person that can help turn someone else's day around. Or maybe if I go, you know, someone told me a long time ago, you can restart your day anytime you want.
Yeah,
And
true.
they first said it
Yep.
to me, I was like, no, you can't. You're having a bad day. I'm like, no, you're out of your mind. There's no shot. But it's true.
Right.
Like you can decide.
Right.
Like you know what, this morning didn't go great. You know, for whatever reason, and I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna turn it around. I'm gonna feel better. I'm gonna do better, and I'm gonna force myself into a good attitude. And if you really like do that and consciously make the effort to practice that, it really can have a big impact, not just on your day, but on the people that you interact with on a daily basis, or the people you
Yeah.
interact with once ever. You know what I mean?
Right. I know some of those people that I run into in Wawa or wherever on like my morning kind of routine there on the way into work. Some of those people I see frequently, you know, because we're on the same schedule and so I run into them, you know, frequently throughout the week. And then sometimes, I'd run into, I don't know them. I never see them again.
Yeah.
I stopped at the Wawa. I stopped at the Wawa in Ellesmere once, and it can be kind of a rough Wawa sometimes. And there
It
was a
can be.
guy in there. Can be.
It can be.
Yeah, it can be sometimes. And I forget why I was in there. I think I was doing some work around the corner or something. We went in there for lunch, and I was actually still in active addiction at the time. So, most of the time at work when I was in active addiction, my work, my lunch breaks consisted of I only have 30 minutes, to go get what I need to get, and it's not a hot dog and a soda. You know what I'm saying?
I
And I
do.
got 30 minutes, and they're gonna expect me back at 12:30. So like this needs to happen now, and I'm always on go mode. And I think I was still in active addiction. I remember just being stressed out because that puts a lot of stress on you, and I remember being just like stressed out, and I wasn't feeling good physically. Obviously, I think I was going through withdrawals and stuff, and I went into this Wawa, um, and there was a guy there. I think he was homeless. He looked homeless, and I don't know like his whole story, but someone had bought him a cup of coffee, and he was just sitting out on the sidewalk drinking a cup of coffee, eating like a ham and cheese sandwich
Mhm.
at like noon, just so happy.
Yep.
So happy. Smiling, whatever. And I actually got sober like very soon after this, because like this was one of those things. I don't know if you'd call it like kind of a wake up call or like a moment of clarity almost, Like this was one of those moments of clarity for me. Like I saw this guy, and for, somebody that maybe at a point in my life I would look down upon. I felt so low about myself, and here's this guy that at one point I would look down on, is smiling and happy as can be,
Yep.
and showing me like, all this like just positive energy. And I just remember being like, what is wrong with me? Like it was just like one of those moments, like, what is wrong with me, man?
Yeah.
Like how out of touch I am with what is actually going on. And then like, yeah, it was like one of those moments to where it was like I'm not in good shape, like I need something needs to happen here. Like something needs to change.
Yeah. I agree, and I think that that's a you know perfect example of it's the little things, right? It is.
Yeah.
Happiness is not found within what society says they should be found within, right? We get so caught up in like you got to make a certain
True,
amount of
yeah.
money, you got to have a house, you got to have a wife, you got to have this, you got to have or a significant other, you got to have kids. That brings you
Yeah.
happiness. No, no, no. No, no, no.
Right.
Finding being grateful for the little things and finding a reason each day to continue to just kind of move forward and do all that's where the gratitude comes from, right? It could
Yeah.
be different for each person, right? But I think that it's just figuring that stuff out and coming to terms with the fact that it's not about what everyone tells you it should be about.
Yeah.
It's find that within yourself. And I think we get so caught up into like the keeping up with the Joneses, and we have to do this because everyone else said we needed to do this. And nah, find happiness with what you got in front of you, man. Um,
Yeah.
I do want to address a couple comments that
Yeah,
just came
please.
through, and
Yep,
then we're going
please
to
do.
go to the next story.
All right,
So
I'll get it ready.
Yep. So Corrupted said, "I wish more people would visit third world countries. That's something that will forever impact my perspective on life, bad days, and gratitude for a lot of things. I've never been to a third world country. I so I can't like relate to seeing it. I know that it is vastly different. I mean, than anything here. I mean, the closest we probably have to that here is like all the homeless people out in L.A. and like the Badlands in Philly, right? And the other cities that have that. And even that is a huge upgrade. Like people in these third world countries would." Give up what they have in a heartbeat to go have to live in the Badlands in Philly because it's what they have access to is far better. I don't
True,
disagree,
yeah.
and I think that there is a lot of that stuff that does that. And then MFAM Salt just talks about how like the military showed him a lot of that. And how we have
Yeah.
it really well even on a bad day. And then we have a
Yeah.
first time chat. from JC. So, hey, JC, I appreciate
What's
you.
up, JC? Welcome, man.
Ever since I got back from Afghanistan, I look at what people complain about completely different. Yeah, I would imagine, it's kind of like that joke, like, these are our first world problems, right? It's like, oh, they didn't have my flavored coffee today.
Yeah.
For real, that's what it is.
I know.
Like,
I know.
oh,
I laugh. I'm just,
yeah.
but it is. It's just ridiculous.
My favorite shorts weren't clean today that I like to wear to the gym. Oh, your shorts are clean?
Damn.
You have clean shorts? That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Way to go,
You
bud.
have shorts?
You have short, right. So it's it really is it's different, and it is easy to get caught up into the complaining of what we have. Same thing with you, like getting up early to go to work to make pretty good money. You know how much they want to get up at 6 a.m. and go to work and make pretty good money and have the freedoms that we have? Pretty bad. And, it's true. And even hearing that, having people come in and say that kind of stuff, it is. It opens your mind up to going, yeah, overall we have it pretty good.
Yeah. My older sister, and I don't want to talk about this too much because I feel like I'm gonna misrepresent it, and I'm not gonna do a well enough job. But my sister is a youth ministry director at a church up in New Jersey, and they go on these missionary trips to Haiti, and they've been doing it for probably a decade at least, or she's been doing it at least for like a decade. She has 3 kids down there that she sponsors, one of which is HIV positive, which now he has all of his medications. Anyway, they do this missionary trip to this orphanage, and just like talking with her, man, and maybe it might be cool to get her on the pod here at some point, but
Yeah.
to talk about this exact thing, I think. But like they don't have water to drink. They don't have clean water. There's people that live up in the mountains in Haiti that do not have clean water. There is a majority of the cities in there that do not have sewer. Their raw sewage runs down ditches openly in the side of the street.
Yeah.
Right? And like it's like that's crazy for us to even think that that's a thing, and I think it does, like what everybody's commenting in the chat and stuff. It really puts into perspective when you think about stuff like that. It really puts into perspective how privileged and how good that we do have things. And then it just, like, I hear stuff like that and it makes me want to do more, and what makes me want to do my part more makes me want to help people more.
Yeah.
In whatever corner of the world I can find myself able to do that. You know what I mean?
I do.
I'm glad to see a little bit of chat participation tonight too, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
Like that was kind of my idea going into this, is that we could kind of share stuff and read some of these stories and give our own experience and have some people do the same. So that's really cool. I'm glad. I do have another one if you want to go into.
Yeah, let's get it.
All right. So yeah, this is really cool too, and I know we both can kind of relate to this just with being dads and stuff. But so, all right, let me make sure I have the right one. I have the video. All right, so, and I have a video for this one also. So, 10-year-old Stella Bonner wanted to change the world with the help of her dad Patrick. The father-daughter duo co-authored the book Darian the Librarian. You guys can, I looked at this earlier, you guys can still Google this, and it's on Amazon. You can still buy this book, Darian the Librarian, and donated all of the proceeds of the book to Feeding America. The book, I believe this started in COVID. Yeah, okay. Well, the book is a thriller about a girl who can magically jump in and out of books. The story was inspired by Bonner, who had trouble falling asleep. She won't go to sleep, especially if we're telling a story. She wants the next part and the next part, so we kept going. And one night she just said, this should be a book. We should make this into a book. The two of them had written 3 to 4 chapters when COVID closed schools down. That's when they were able to finish the 41-chapter, 50,000-word book.
Wow.
Their goal was to raise, and this is what's crazy, and I actually had to go to a different thing to find this out. So initially, when this article that I got this from was written, their goal was to raise $500 for Feeding America. And in less than a week, they raised more than $10,000 from family, friends, and Good Samaritans, right? And so I just got genuinely curious and was like, where are they at now? You know? So when this story was written in November of last year, so 2021, they had a Facebook page up, I guess, with this book, and then with some kind of GoFundMe or some kind of fundraiser attached to this Facebook page. And currently, right now, they have $27,000 raised.
That's awesome.
From selling this book.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy. And then I have a video for this that has, what's her name? Stella and her dad, Patrick. It's a pretty cool.
I'm ready whenever you are.
We've had thousands of people because of this.
There it is.
It's called Darian the Librarian.
It's about a girl who moves to a new town. It's a fictional seaside town in Massachusetts. And she discovers that she has magical powers. She has the ability to jump into books. It's about strong girls. And that was the goal, mothers and daughters, when we set out writing it.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Stella had a hard time falling asleep. She wanted to keep reading and reading. And so to get her to settle down and to be able to turn the lights off, you know, I would make up stories. And we had this girl, Ella and the Magic Pencil, and she had the ability to jump into books. So whatever we were reading at the time, we would talk about Ella kind of inserting herself into the book. At one point, we had done it so many times that Stella said, you know, this should be a book. Like, we could write a book, not knowing how hard it is to write a book, but when your kid asks you to do something, you try and do it.
W Dad.
Yep.
We were writing, you know, maybe a chapter a month. We would get to it when we had time, but there's work, and there, you know, she was at school. And when the pandemic hit, we found ourselves with a lot of time. And so I said, Stella, if we're ever going to write this, we should write it now.
Yeah. May of 2020 it released. See, and that again is her idea.
Yep.
And
so that's, I guess, must have been what I found, is their fundraiser that they set up on Facebook. So,
Yeah.
And it does still have the goal. I wish I had it here. I could pull it up, but the goal is still on that fundraiser on Facebook. It still has the goal set up at $500,
and it surpassed
it by 27,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We set the goal at $500. We said, anyone who donates $10 to Feeding America, we will send you a free copy of this book that my daughter and I wrote together. And we hit $500 in 2 hours. Started getting donations from all over the world just because of people sharing it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
Okay, there it is. Crazy.
It's still amazing to think that so many people were being helped by this thing that we, you know, decided maybe we could use it for good. Makes me very proud to know that that was her first thought. That was her instinct.
Yeah. That's incredible.
I agree.
Best dad ever. Seriously, though, that's such a good move on
I mean,
his
if I had to, I mean, good dad for sure, 100%. But I would have to say it's probably the best daughter or kid ever. I think.
I know
that should have been labeled.
They've done a pretty good job on their end, I think, as parents, man. I think, you know, if you know, my kids get older and hopefully I can instill some kind of stuff like that into them, you know, I'd be super proud. You can tell how proud he is of her. I would love that, man. I really would. That's such an awesome story.
Yep. Yeah, and we've even like done, you know, it's tough right now to sit here and just kind of do this podcast, and you know, I'm sure at some point we could probably do something to get our kids involved in this, but it's more important for me, and I know it is for him as well, to have him be involved in the pay it forward idea. Because we've had conversations of like, you know, maybe once we're doing this for a couple months, we go out and we do like a in real life like live thing earlier on a Saturday where we bring a camera with us and we go give to people out in public rather than doing it here. You know, it takes a little bit more moving parts and planning to do that kind of stuff. But like I want my kids to come with me to do that stuff. I want them to see the
Yeah.
joy it brings when you do stuff like that for people. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so we have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
We're only 3 weeks in. We have a lot of ideas and a lot of things that we want to do.
Yeah.
But this is a
That's
perfect
definitely
example.
up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is a perfect example of that, is having because if I spread it to my kids, then they're going to spread it not just to people they know, but like at school, and it just can have this impact, and it's just the whole thing's awesome.
Yeah. We when I was living in Philly, I was involved in a group up in a neighborhood in there called Fishtown. It's in like the Northeast. And see Pure Hulk and chat. What's up, brother?
Yeah,
Good
what's
to
up?
see you, man.
What's up,
Thank
Hulk?
you
I
for
appreciate
stopping
you.
in.
Thanks for the follow as well.
And we so what they would do, and this group still does this every year, and it's gotten massive. At Christmas time, I think it's at D in Erie. There's a Ronald McDonald House, St. Christopher's Children's Hospital. It's in Kensington. But every Christmas time, they do this massive fundraiser to buy all of these Christmas gifts and then bring them to the Ronald McDonald House to the kids that are stuck in the hospital. And so I did it one year with a guy that I know that had been doing it, and he was telling me like, dude, you have to get in on this. Trust me. Like, you want to give back to people, that starts outside of recovery. That's not just giving back to people in the recovery community. That's all over the world. That's outside. It's in every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
Right. And this is something that you have to be involved in. And he was so like hype and excited about it. And I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I'm down. And so it started with like fundraising and doing raffles. And I actually still have a Kensington hoodie. They made these hoodies that say St. Christopher's Hospital on them and Kensington on them. And they sold those and raised all this money and stuff. And so the day comes to where we're going to buy the toys. We physically bought the toys ourselves. And this is still when Toys R Us existed. And I guess they're out of business now.
I miss Toys R Us.
But we had a group of like 100 people, man. We split up into groups of 4 with like 2 shopping carts apiece. And they just gave everybody like lists, just gave out lists and just get all of this, get all of this, get all of this. And they had $80,000 in cash in this Toys R Us.
Yep.
A 16-year-old kid had a Ziploc bag with $80,000 under his hoodie in Kensington in a Toys R Us on Aramingo Avenue. That we went into this Toys R Us, like 100 people. We filled U-Haul trucks worth of toys, and we would go in with these shopping carts, and it was like I remember specifically I had like Legos on my list, and like Lego kits are like, whatever, all the different things you build, and they have like just the kit. Dude, we would go in and just take your arm and just sweep shelves. We were just like, it was like a childhood dream of mine, to like go into the toy store and just go crazy. And that's what we did. We literally just shopping cart, take your arm, sweep toys off the shelf, fill shopping carts, we paid for all this stuff, all these toys, loaded them in bags, put them in U-Haul trucks, and took $80,000 worth of toys to this Ronald McDonald House. And these guys are still doing this every year. And it's only gotten bigger since then. That was probably 2016, 2017, something like that. And it's only gotten bigger since then, excuse me. And yeah, that was just one of those things, man. It was crazy. Like any kind of joy that we could spread outside of that, outside of the recovery community then. And I got talked into doing that. Yeah, that was just like an awesome experience, and but to our point and why I started telling that story is it was a lot of guys there that brought their whole families with them to do it. It started with just a close-knit group of guys that were, in recovery together or whatever, and they started doing this thing. It blew up. It got so big. Now people are bringing their entire families along with them to do it. Their kids, their wives, their moms, their dads, their brothers, their sisters, everybody. It was like a whole family thing around Christmas time to go out and just do this huge thing, man, to just give all these toys to Ronald McDonald House. Yeah, and I still, I mean, I still am kind of part of it. I'm just not in that area anymore, so I can't be as involved as I once was. But we still try to like donate and be involved with it as much as I can. They still do it every year. It's
Yep.
such an awesome thing.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny that like you bring up Philly and Kensington and Aramingo Avenue and all those things because
Yeah.
a guy that I know that's in recovery, um, he didn't really have his own experience where it went to the point where like he was in places like that. So he had went with a group of people up there just to go see kind of like the Badlands, which is where a lot of the just there's people just out there right in the
Yeah, it's a
middle of the
different
street.
world.
It is.
Yeah, it's a different world. Yeah.
It is, and he was out there giving out like to helping people. They were giving out like winter clothes and stuff.
Right.
Prepping for the winter. I want to say they did it in like November, so people had like gloves and hats and
Okay.
stuff for when
Yeah,
it was
like
getting
the
ready to get
jacket.
cold. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
And he just came back and he was telling me about it. And he, again, it wasn't something he personally had seen or experienced, because
Right.
his
Yeah.
addiction just didn't take him to that point.
Right.
And when he was telling me about it, he was just like in complete disbelief as to like what it's like up there, but also incredibly grateful to be able to go give. You know what I mean? Like he gave an
Yeah.
entire day to go up there and help people that were less fortunate.
Yeah.
So it's just really neat to
Yeah, I'm
see
extremely
that kind of
grateful
stuff.
for all the time that like I spent up there and time I spent sober up there because there was a lot of different experiences. We did a 5K up there that I actually ran this 5K. The route starts in Fishtown, goes right down Kensington Avenue underneath the L train. Um, like, dude, I ran the race and I'm running down Kensington Avenue in Philly, and there's just there's people everywhere. There's just people out everywhere, doing whatever, and we're in a race. And I'm running down Kensington Avenue, and there's people leaned up on storefronts smoking Newports, like blowing Newport smoke in your face as you're running this
Yeah.
running this 5K. And the 5K is like a fundraiser to actually help families that lost loved ones to addiction.
Yeah.
You know, and that was really cool. And we went out. We would go out the night before. We would go out the night before and like map or like mark out the map route. So like with arrows on the ground or whatever, so people would be able to see it the next day when the race actually took place. And we had, and shout out to my girl Margot. If anybody has ever heard of Sunday Love Project, it's huge now, but she does so much giving to people, man. And she came out with us the night before the race one time with just coolers full of sandwiches, And as we were marking out the map route, we were just handing food out to people, And they all know her because she just does that. Like that's just what she does on like a Tuesday. She'll make 50 sandwiches and go out and just feed people just because.
Yeah.
She's really an incredible human being, man. I'm so blessed to be able to have met and spent time with people like that. And but that was such a cool experience, and I actually brought my parents along with me for that. Who my parents aren't like me, they don't have the same experiences with addiction and things like I do, and so they had never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Both of them are from a really small town here in Delaware or whatever, and I took them up there, man, and they were just like I wish I could have taken a picture of my mom's face when she got out her car, like she was like, "What? Where are we?"
Yeah.
Like she had heard stories, man. She kind of had an idea, but then like you can have an idea and whatever, but the first time you see that place, it's like it's different. It's not what you could have ever expected, and she was really taken back by it. But then like to be, she toughed through it, man. Both my parents did. My dad doesn't walk well, but he walked the whole route with us, and we handed out all this food to people. Yeah, and every single one of those experiences, man, being in that area and living there for 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it was, me and my wife did. I had a lot of experiences like that. I got a lot of opportunity to do stuff like that. And anytime that I was able to do it, like with my family or with my girlfriend or with anybody like that, kind of outside that community and shed more light onto it, whatever, was always really special.
Yeah. Yeah, do you want to dive into reading what our guest of next week wrote, and then we can talk about who it is?
Yep. All right. So, okay. So let me see. Let me see how I'm going to preface this. So.
Well, I think it was so this one of the guys when we had when Murky had tweeted out, if you have any like good news stories or anything like positive to share, hit me up, blah blah blah. this guy did that, and then he can,
Right.
and Murky's gonna tell you a little bit about the guy.
So about a week ago.
About a week ago. Oh no! All right, my bad. My bad, dog.
So about a week ago, I tweeted episode 3 of the Pay It Forward podcast this Saturday is all about talking about the good. We'll spend the whole episode focusing on the good things in the world since we see so much bad, right? Wounded, you retweeted that, said excited for this one. I retweeted that and said, that being said, how about y'all let us know some good things that have happened to you recently? Maybe it'll make it in the pod. So one person that we've already kind of dealt with a little bit, man, and replied to it. My boy Footloose replied and said, I went through a knee surgery. A good group of people I call family came in strong and helped me so much. A DoorDash gift card, motivation to stay focused, called me and made sure I was okay. Just been a true group of amazing people. These guys know who they are, and I want them to know I love them so much. They've been in my corner to see me succeed for a long time. These guys are M-Fam. They support my dreams, and the Foot Fam, which is his community here on Twitch. He's also a small Twitch streamer, for those of you who don't know.
Starting to gain good traction, which is so well deserved. I don't want to get too much into it because he's the guest for next week.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk a lot about that stuff then. But yeah, it's.
So he just said they support my dreams and the Foot Fam so much, and I don't know, however, how I can ever thank them. And then following his reply and his comment to that tweet, he sent me a DM. And he just said, I could talk about so much. I won't overdo you.
Yeah.
Which is how I feel with people sometimes, man. And that's why I love this dude so much and his attitude, because he's like, dude, I have so much good stuff right now. Like I could, how long do you want me to go on for? You know,
Yeah.
I won't overdo you. If you ever need a special guest, let me know.
Yeah.
Which is why we hit him up, and he's going to be the special guest next week.
Yeah.
Said so many people have stepped up and have been there for me, and one day I hope I can give back and show how much it's all truly meant to me.
Yep.
So just really cool, man. Really cool reaction from him. We showed up in his stream, I guess, about 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 3 weeks ago now, we showed up into a stream and hit him with some donations, some gifted subs, and some bits. We recorded his reaction to that, put that on YouTube and stuff. It was a really cool video. It was like our first time actually kind of getting into that, and doing something like that and recording that in a video. He was stoked to like be a part of the video, and that we actually,
Yep.
like I didn't know how he would respond either, to the video thing and whatever. And I remember sending him a clip and just being like, hey man, do you mind if we post this or whatever? He was like, no, absolutely not. This is awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Let me know, when the video drops, And, we've always been like really supportive of him. I've known him for a couple years now, and I've just watched his growth. And then, since me and Wounded started doing our thing and doing this podcast and stuff, he's been really supportive of us too, So yeah, plug the YouTube, because that video is still up on our podcast channel on YouTube, along with, some other ones that we've done since then or whatever. But I'm really excited to have him as the guest next week. I think we have a lot of good stuff to talk about, man. The dude's in a really good spot.
Yep. He's got charisma. He's just, he's just good. And I see Corrupt said he always seems like a super positive guy. He is. And honestly, like, when we went and did like the surprise thing for him, I was just introduced to him. Like, I'd seen him around in like the M-Fam and stuff like that, but I was just introduced to his stream, and like my initial reaction as soon as I hopped in his stream was like, wow, all I did was follow him. And he was like, Wounded, thanks for the follow, and had all like this, and I was like, he's really, really good at this. You know what I mean? Like, I try to stay engaging, but I'm not, I'm not a super like,
Yeah.
excitable guy. Like even when
Right.
like Big Ange always comes in here and he'll raid with like 30 people, and I'm like, oh my god, like, and it, I feel it and I'm excited. I'm just not like this, outwardly explosive person
Yeah.
when it comes to that. And he just
Yeah,
has that. He just has it. It's awesome.
Yeah, I think your first reaction, like as soon as we opened up that stream and he
Yeah.
said that, you were like, dude, see, like that's the energy I need.
Exactly.
And because it's
Yep.
like his energy is freaking contagious, man, and
It
it's
is.
on point.
And I
It
think a
really
big
is.
thing
Like
that
it is awesome.
Yeah, I think a big thing that I've learned as I've gotten older too with that is, um, you know, when I'm younger, I may look at somebody and go, oh, I don't like. I know that I want what they have, or I aspire to like have this whatever personality trait that they have, um,
Right.
But I have no problem not being like, yeah, like what do I need to do to be more like that and have that kind of impact? And it doesn't have to be in the same exact way, but it's just nice to. It was nice to be introduced to him, be able to do something nice for him, um, and really, gain for myself like a new friend, somebody I interact with often on Twitter now, somebody that I try to support every time I see him pop up. And again, I don't want to get too much into it because you're probably going to hear all this stuff next week as well. But he's good dude, and we're excited to have him next week. So.
Yeah, I just tried to give him a little shout out on the thing, and I don't think that's the right one. I think I did this once before.
Yeah, I don't. No, it's Footloose.
Oh, there's an E, dude.
Yeah.
There's an E.
That's not the right Footloose. FOOTELO.
Yeah, I did that last
Zero
time, too.
SE. But yeah, so other than that, I think that for this podcast we're done. We're